Hi there, it's Chris from Brantford Toyota, and it's a beautiful day. No, wait, it's a little overcast, which is what we're going to be talking about today, climate, or more so, climate control in our new Toyotas. Here we are inside a brand new 2022 RAV4 XLE Premium package, which comes with the automatic climate control. Now, automatic climate control is nothing new. It's been around for many, many years, and it works basically the same that it did 10, 15 years ago. The climate control systems nowadays are getting smarter than they ever have. So they're aware of the Canadian winters, for instance. So you're going to have the defrost system's going to kick in on the front windshield a little more realistically than, say, previous models did. But like I said, this is nothing new, but what we're finding is a lot of people aren't quite sure how to use the system. So we're going to talk here briefly about basically how it works. And again, the whole idea is it's auto. You let the car do the work. You may have to tweak things a little bit while you're driving, but keep in mind eventually go back to that auto button and let it do the work for you. So the thing about automatic climate control, the key word to remember here is auto. So getting in this car, the previous person actually set it up incorrectly. And this is one of the things we see again and again and again. Think of it as like your thermostat at home on your furnace. You would set it at, say, 22 degrees, 20 degrees, somewhere along that line, and you leave it. The furnace does things automatically for you. As soon as you start overriding things, it sort of defeats the purpose of the auto AC. So when we got in the car, the previous person, they had it set all the way to low. And I can't stress this enough. This in no way makes it cool down any faster. All it means, I'll turn the fan off there for a minute. All it means is that eventually it'll get really, really cold in here. So the idea is you pick a temperature you're comfortable with. So myself, I like to put it around 21. Everybody's a little different. That doesn't mean that you might not change things a degree or two, as you're driving along, but the car does all the work for you. So in Canada, of course, we have quite a swing of temperature changes. So in the summertime, if you got it set around here, the car is going to blow cold air out of these top vents because cold air drops. And in the wintertime, it's the opposite. The vehicle knows how to achieve this temperature the most efficient way possible, meaning it will decide what temperature the air comes out of the vents and at what speed. So here's our speed right there. So it's telling me now, in order to achieve 20.5 degrees, the fan's right around, halfway, and it's blowing out these vents, which makes it very efficient. And as you're driving along, you'll see the fan speed decrease a little bit. The other thing that people do, and it's what happens in the winter time, is we'll see this sort of thing. They got it cranked all the way to high. And again, in no way does that mean it's going to heat up any faster than setting it on auto. All it means is eventually it's going to get really, really hot in here. And it sort of, again, defeats the purpose because you're like, oh, that fan's too high. So you start overriding things and it's just not comfortable. Set it at the temperature you're comfortable with, 20 and a half, and the car will do the work for you. Now, you'll find in the wintertime that, again, hot air rises. So the vehicle will start blowing air on your feet. That air rises. If it's cold enough, you'll even see it'll start blowing on the windshield a little bit too, because we're in Canada, we get frost here. So this is where auto AC, you might have to do a little bit of tweaking because the car knows that it's now warmed up inside, and it may turn off the front window defrost, but maybe it's still kind of damp out or something, and you start to get some fogging on the window. So this is where you have to override things. So for the winter time, you always want air blowing on the window. And believe it or not, when you got that on there, the AC the compressor's always kicked in. Some people don't know that, but even in the wintertime, that air conditioning compressor, if you got air blowing on the front windshield, that air conditioning compressor is running, and that's to dry the air out, to get all that frost. It's a safety thing, really. But for the most part, leave it on auto, let the car do its thing, and it just works a whole lot nicer. The other thing here, we got a dual zone system, right? You got a passenger My wife and I, we fight about this a little bit. She may decide she wants it, you know. You start getting too big a swing there. You got air blowing cold here. This side decides it wants to be a little warmer, and they start, all of a sudden the efficiencies aren't so great anymore. So if you're gonna have different temperatures, left to right, be mindful there is limits to that sort of thing that will work realistically, right? And the other thing, and the reason why I jumped in this RAV4, there's a little button here called Eco Heat and Cool. So if you hit that button, it's designed to save fuel. So how's that gonna save fuel with the system? So keep in mind when your air conditioning's on, you're running a compressor and you got a fan. So it's taking electricity, it's putting a load on the engine. So when there's a load on the motor, you're burning a little more fuel. So that Eco button right there, what it's gonna do is it's gonna limit the fan speed. So it's not working as hard, therefore, you know, theoretically, you're saving some fuel, which is great. The thing to keep in mind though, especially in the winter time, if you want the vehicle to heat up efficiently, that is going to curtail the fan speed, meaning when the engine heats up and you've got some warm air that could possibly come out, it's not going to be as high a fan speed as you'd like, because it's trying to save some energy. So you might get a little frustrated that things aren't warming up fast enough. So yeah, there is a time and a place for that button. I don't tend to like to use it because I find that let the vehicle do the thing on its own. One other thing in the wintertime is a lot of times folks, they get in the car and they decide they want it to heat up as fast as possible. So they will crank that fan speed right up to the top when the car is stone cold. And that actually makes the vehicle take longer to heat up. And the reason for that is you think of the heating system, there's a heater core. It's like a little tiny radiator. And it takes time for hot fluid to get in there from the engine. So if you got that fan speed on high, you're sucking all that hot air out of there, and it's gonna take a little longer for the vehicle to heat up. So again, use that auto button. You may find in the winter that fan doesn't kick in right away, but give it time, it'll slowly build and it'll slowly heat up the passenger compartment. So that's it for the climate control system. I hope that's been informative for you. If you got any questions at all, please come and see us at Brantford Toyota or visit us on the web, brantfordtoyota.ca.